recommending to the House of Representatives to find Brian Pagliano in contempt of Congress for refusal to comply with a subpoena duly issued by the Committee on Oversight and Government Reform. Our first and only item for consideration today is a resolution and report recommending that the House of Representatives find Brian Pagliano in contempt of Congress for refusal to comply with a subpoena duly issued by the Committee on Oversight and Government Reform. The Clerk will designate the report.
Resolution recommending that the House of Representatives find Brian Pagliano in contempt of Congress for refusal to comply with a subpoena duly issued by the Committee on Oversight and Government Reform.
I intend to offer an amendment in the nature of a substitute to the report, and without objection, we will call up the amendment in the nature of a substitute, and then I will recognize myself to give one statement on both the ANS and the underlying report. The Clerk will designate the amendment.
Amendment in the nature of a substitute offered by Mr. Chaffetz of Utah to the resolution recommending that the House of Representatives find Brian Pagliano in contempt of Congress.
Without objection, the amendment is considered as read, and I now recognize myself for 5 minutes and a statement to report on the report and the ANS. Today, the committee will consider a resolution and report recommending Brian Pagliano be held in contempt of the House of Representatives. Subpoenas are not optional. Mr. Pagliano is a crucial fact witness in this committee's investigation of former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton's use of a private email server to conduct government business. The release of these Federal records is of deep concern to the committee, and we have the jurisdiction over Federal records. We have jurisdiction over National Archives. We have jurisdiction in several places. Over the course of the investigation, we learned some of the information about Mr. Pagliano's involvement in Secretary Clinton's use of the private server. Mr. Pagliano originally worked for Secretary Clinton in her 2008 presidential campaign as an IT specialist. As he was closing out her campaign's computer equipment, he received a call from Justin Cooper, who testified before this committee last week. It was Mr. Cooper who requested Mr. Pagliano build a server for Ms. Clinton in early 2009 as she started her new job as Secretary of State. Several months later, in March of 2009, the two men met in the basement of Clinton's Chappaqua residence to install a new server Mr. Pagliano built. Mr. Pagliano continued to monitor and maintain the server while Secretary Clinton was at the State Department. After he set up the server, Mr. Pagliano joined Secretary Clinton at the State Department as a Schedule C appointee in the Bureau of Information and Resource Management. By law, Schedule C appointees are required to report to a presidentially appointed position, but there were no presidential appointees in the Bureau of Information and Resource Management, making Mr. Pagliano's employment arrangement unusual at best.